What is up, YouTube? And today we are going to be playing Minecraft and reading Am I the Asshole stories. I had so much fun doing this the last time and I'm really excited to get back into it. It seems like my video did decently well for how small my channel is, and I have a few new subscribers, so thank you all for joining us. And today we are going to be we're going to start off with this story called Am I the Asshole for Telling My Teacher She Is Not Allowed to Give My Group Member a Better Grade? So I, 16F, am in a group project class. We were in groups of 3 and I was paired up with Lana, 16F, and Ian, 16 male. We had a week to make a presentation. I did the research, wrote most of the scripts, and put together the slides. Okay, so genuinely that is like a lot of work. So it seems like she was doing a lot of the quote-unquote heavy lifting with that. Lana showed up once and gave a few printed pictures for the presentation, and that was the only time she quote helped. She spent the rest of the week not doing anything. Ian helped a bit, but not much. We all presented and the teacher said we all did a good job, and then she graded us. We used a different grading system. Lana got a 10 out of 10. Ian got a 9 out of 10, and I got a 7 out of 10. I got upset and asked the teacher the reason that she gave me the lowest grade, and she said that Lana was more confident during the presentation and Ian helped with the visuals. I said that I did 90% of the work and that it wasn't fair. She then said that grades are based on presentation and not effort. The teacher looked annoyed and said that she graded fairly and I shouldn't be upset with her grading based on how active we were during the presentation. Now my teacher is telling my parents that I was rude and disrespectful and that I'm acting like I'm entitled. Lana said that I was being, quote, too much and that I should have just asked nicely. I feel like I am not the problem. If I worked the hardest, I should have gotten the grade that I deserved. Am I the asshole? I would say no. In school, for myself, I was the main kid that would do most of the work. And so I've been in situations that are sort of similar where I was pulling most of the weight for my group projects. And they, in turn, sometimes got better grades than me. But thankfully, I had decent enough teachers that would try to correct the situation at that time. But I feel like the teacher is definitely in the wrong, especially if it's supposed to be a group project and one of the members are doing most of the work. She should have got the highest grade, while Lana and Ian should have gotten equivalent grades for the amount of work they did. Of course, the presentation also seems like it's a major part of the project, so OP probably should have put in more effort if she wasn't. I'm not saying that she wasn't, but I feel like, she definitely deserved the better grade if she was doing the better work. I don't think that she's the asshole for that one. But let's get into the next one. And this one says, Am I the asshole for leaving my sister's wedding early without telling anyone? Okay, I mean, I guess that can come off like a little rude, but maybe there's a little context behind it. And I'm not saying like leaving early being rude, just maybe not mentioning it to a single person, because then it's like, well, hey, where'd you go, But maybe there's, like I said, maybe there's context that I'm not aware of. I, male 26, went to my sister's wedding last weekend. We're on okay terms, not super close, but not estranged or anything. I was a guest, not in the wedding party. Okay, from the start, the day felt off. There were a lot of last-minute changes and stress, which I get. Weddings are chaos. But my sister kept snapping at me over small things, like asking me to move seats because you're, quote, blocking the photographer, but then later getting mad because I moved and she said, quote, I wanted family together. At the reception, I was seated at a table with people I didn't really know, which is fine, except my place setting was missing. No name card, no food choice, nothing. I flagged a server and eventually got a plate, but it was clearly an afterthought. I know this sounds minor, but combined with everything else, it's kinda sucked. Then during speeches, my sister thanked everyone who really showed up for us and specified a list of friends, coworkers, even neighbors, but skipped me entirely. Well, maybe she skipped you because you did mention that you guys aren't really close, or like maybe like the sister like just didn't really know that you would want that. I don't know. I feel like that definitely becomes like a level of closeness, but then again, she did mention neighbors, so I don't know. Again, I know it's not about me, but it still stunk. By this point, I felt awkward, tired, and honestly unwanted. I stayed throughout dinner, hugged my parents, and left quietly without saying goodbye to my sister. I didn't cause a scene or announce anything. The next day, she texted asking where I disappeared to and said that it was, quote, hurtful that I left early and didn't say anything, especially since people noticed. I said I wasn't feeling great and didn't want to make it a thing. She's now saying I was passive aggressive and that if I had an issue, I should have sucked it up for one night. My mom agrees and says weddings aren't about individual feelings. A friend of mine thinks it's weird that I was treated like an afterthought and that leaving quietly was fine. I honestly didn't intend it as a statement. I just didn't feel like I belonged there anymore. Am I the asshole? Well, based off OP's feelings, it's probably for the best that he didn't make like a big old scene and like said like, oh, I'm gonna go, like, bye, like, especially when when people are busy during their weddings. I would say he's not really like the asshole for that one. I mean, it can come off like a little like rude in a way, like I said at the very beginning of the story, but it doesn't really seem like that because he did mention to at least his mom and his dad that he was going to leave. It's understandable to not really want to interrupt the wedding when you are sort of already feeling a type of way. I will say this though, if he was closer with his sister, then it would definitely be like a sting or like sort of hurtful in a way, that he wasn't mentioned in like the wedding speech or anything like that. But from the sounds of it, it doesn't even sound like the parents or anyone else that were like immediate or close family were mentioned either. So I don't know if that was necessarily like intentional or trying to leave anyone out or anything like that. It seems like it was maybe, like OP said, more like an afterthought or anything like that. But I don't think OP should be making it like such a big deal. And the sister definitely shouldn't be making it a big deal either. If anything, she should try to understand her brother's perspective on just like trying to exit quietly without making it like a scene or like having like questions or bombardment about why you're leaving or this or that, you know. I wouldn't say he's the asshole for that. Okay, but this next one says, am I the asshole for implying my uncle ended his wife's career? My uncle's wife was an actress. Her parents were actors, with her dad being a very accomplished and successful for his time. She and her sister became actresses but retired/changed careers. I watched some of the shows she was in, and I was stunned when I learned my uncle was going out with her and then married her. I spoke to her several times and am on good terms with her. I recently paid them a visit. She wasn't in, so I spoke to my uncle. I visited for New Year's, and because I wanted to show them a video album she did when I was 16 and that I found online. It was her singing popular songs from the time. At the same time, the video did feel a bit poignant. It felt like an image of who she was or what she could have been and what her parents wanted for her. My uncle agreed that she sounded lovely and joked whether she should have done that instead of acting. He then sarcastically joked that maybe she chose wrong and could have been minted. These remarks annoyed me. I felt like he didn't really appreciate the talent that she had and how much she sacrificed for their marriage. I challenged him and asked hypothetically where he thought she would be if she never met him. He was puzzled and guessed maybe still acting or settled with someone else. For some context, my uncle was a big farmer, and that profession is really labor intensive. She helped him with the physical tasks, doing the books, side jobs, and then they had kids, and that put the final nail in her acting career. I pointed out how there are correlations with her taking on less acting roles when she met him and how having to help him with the farm obviously contributed to her quitting. He was annoyed and replied that it was nearly 30 years since she had quit and that it's a bit late for that insight. He didn't address my point. I said I'm not judging him, just that she did sacrifice a lot for him. She told me before she was offered a chance to audition for a major movie role in the 90s that she now loves but declined due to her relationship and not wanting to travel abroad. I told him this and he again refused to acknowledge the point, repeating it was so long ago and asserting that she was done with acting at that point. He then asked me to wait for her to return and tell her this insight and see what she thinks. I was a bit freaked out as it came across on the spot, and I could tell it was getting under his skin, so I apologized and then left shortly after. Later, his wife phoned me and she took his side based on whatever spin he told her, saying that I was being judgmental. I agreed because I didn't want to escalate this so quickly, so I quickly changed the topic to the album and the rest of the call went normal. I think my uncle is acting extremely petty and insecure. I'm not judging him or vilifying him. I just want him to understand how much she sacrificed for their marriage. I would say this one is a little bit of an asshole. I'm not gonna lie. Not because she's necessarily wrong with her points, but just because there's a lot of complexities that come through with marriage, and sometimes that's one of them. She is an adult. She did make her own choice. She chose him over her career, and with that being said, she made her choice. She laid her bed. This is what she obviously clearly was happy with doing with her life, hence the reason why she chose to be with her husband, her uncle, versus going and being some big name actor. I think that she probably is happy, and if that's a regret that she has, then I would say that that's one that she probably has to live with. And it's not really OP's place to sort of say, she sacrificed so much. She sacrificed so much. He probably sacrificed a lot too for her. There's a lot of things that go into being married and having a committed relationship, especially one that is so long. I can understand the disappointment because she liked her as an actor, but at the same time, it's like not her place at all to be saying this, especially to her uncle, you know? So I would say, yeah, no, that she's the asshole for that one a bit. This one says, am I the asshole for telling my son's girlfriend she can only come over when she is home? No, I would say that's normal, because it's like, you don't really know this person, and then they're just sort of like, not intruding, but like, just coming over out of the blue, and it can sort of be awkward, especially if you don't know them well. My two sons live in the house I own, 21 and 19. I specifically have them pay only utilities because we know that times are tough. It's equally divided between the two. The conditions were pay utilities, keep a room for me, and get along. Okay. The younger 19 has a girlfriend. Let's call her Liz. Ever since I moved out, Liz has been inviting herself over whenever she wants, and even when he is not home. I had no problem until today when my oldest was sharing a story. See, my room growing up was the quote hangout spot for the kid. The living room was always vacant because they liked my room and the TV best. So that's basically became the common room their entire lives. But ever since moving out, my youngest moved his bed in with my permission, but the understanding that this is a common room and his brother likes to hang out there too. Well, a couple days ago, his 20 female girlfriend came over when he wasn't there. My other son had no issue with her, so he let her in. He went to my room to watch a movie and she followed. He was on the futon in the corner and she was on the bed. Son 19 moved in. Halfway through the movie they were watching again, my room is a commonly shared place. She asks him to leave because she's uncomfortable with him being there and wants to nap. He leaves because what else is he supposed to say? The next day my other son confronts him and asks him about what happened and told him to stay out of the room. I found out today about this. Like I said, my room has always been a common room, and that was the understanding of my leaving. So I set the rule that the girlfriend can only be at the house when my son 19 is home, and to never be at the house when he is not there. He thinks this is unreasonable. I told him that if his girlfriend is uncomfortable with my other son being around in his house when he is not there, then she shouldn't be there. Am I the asshole? I would say no. From the sounds of it, that sounds like basically just like a living room with a door in a way, and it's one thing for your own son to be like moving in and like to sort of like using that space or utilizing that space to like sleep in there on occasion as well, but it's completely different when there's a stranger in your own house telling you that you're making them uncomfortable and that she wants to use the space only for herself. Especially since it seems like she may not understand the original dynamic of that being more of like a common space, and it puts the other son at like risk, or like definitely in an uncomfortable situation where something that untrue is said about him, and no one ever wants that to be like the situation. I'm not saying that the girlfriend would ever do something like that. So let's see what the update is. Update for today, it says I moved my trip up to today as the youngest was giving me the feeling that he wasn't going to give up the room. Fortunately, with a ton of protest, he moved his stuff back to his original room. I have put a lock on the door and only be accessible to me when I come into town. I've also brought a lease which they both have to sign, as rules apply to both. His girlfriend was there and was understanding of where I was coming from, and understands that she can only be over when her boyfriend is home. No in between waiting. Thank you for those who reached out privately, giving me ideas on how to look up illegal leases for my state and giving me words of encouragement. My son is a bit upset on how now that he also seems to understand where I'm coming from. Everyone is hanging out with me in my room, even though both guys are upset with each other. A little peace has been brought to the land for now. Hopefully everything is now clarified for both parties, and I enjoyed the long weekends with my boys. Will not update unless something else occurs. Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, it seems like thankfully the situation got resolved, and that there shouldn't be any more issues with the sons, now that the room is just basically a room and no longer a common space. It does suck for the other son, just because he did also use that space, it seems like, for many years, and now it sort of got taken away because of a situation that wasn't necessarily his fault. And it's thankfully the girlfriend also understands too that she just needs to make sure that her boyfriend is there. I know for myself, if I was going over to like my boyfriend's house and he wasn't there, I would definitely wait at least in his own bedroom rather than like a common space. Or just wait for him to be there in general, because I don't really like showing up to people's houses if they're not there. But okay, let's get into the last one for this video. Let's see. This one says, am I the asshole for finally making a decision? This is going to be short. I am male 18, live with both my parents and my grandmother. They attend church while I tag along every so often. I'm not really the religious type who goes to the house of God every Sunday morning. I would only usually go if I was assigned to be a liturgist or a preacher for the services, but beyond that, I don't go much. One day, our pastor held this meeting for the youth at the church, and I was included. I didn't really want to go, but my mom and grandmother made me go. In the end, I reluctantly went to the meeting. There, I was nominated and voted to become the president of the youth organization, and now I admit it was my mistake for accepting the position at first, but now that I'm a freshman in college, I just realized that it's going to be another responsibility I'm going to be taking up. So I sent a message to my pastor detailing why I want to step down and leave the position for someone else to take. I thought it went well since he messaged me saying all right, until the next Sunday, where I was the preacher and I saw my name as the titled organized name president underneath. That shocked me, but okay, maybe the pastor hasn't changed anything yet. Nope. One of the local churchgoers gave me a whole lecture about putting my talents to use and confiding in God, and that she knows that I can be the organization president. I just know. I didn't respond back because here traditionally talking back to elders is considered disrespectful. Fast forward to this morning during breakfast. Apparently the church had a meeting about an upcoming event that included other church organizations to attend. My mom brought it up and said that I had to be there for the welcoming ceremony, and I said I refused as I wasn't the organization's president anymore. My grandmother butts in saying that I need to do this and that I shouldn't waste my life on things that aren't related to God. Then I finally broke that little tradition. I didn't respond disrespectfully, of course, but I said something along the lines of, I already told them I was stepping down from the position. I just don't want to go, and that's all. After, my mother pauses and says, well, what can we do about it? It's his decision after all. I just couldn't tell if she was sarcastic or not. My father is chill, and he was the only one who hasn't pushed me throughout all of this. Am I the asshole? I would personally say no, that he is not the asshole. It's not that he's necessarily trying to be disrespectful towards his church or anyone there, you know, especially towards his pastor and his grandmother and mother. But it does seem like he's going to be having a lot of responsibilities. Going to college is a big one, especially. You're going to be learning a whole new learning system at times, and definitely harder classes. So it's completely reasonable for him to want to step down from a position where he will be having a lot more responsibilities, rather than staying in a position where he could potentially be stressing himself out. I would say that he's not the asshole in that way. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. I really enjoy these videos, and I definitely plan on making a lot more. I also plan to be starting sort of my own Minecraft Let's Play here soon as well, so you might see videos of that up shortly as well. But I will see you on the next one. You guys have a good day.